The Galactic Alliance had always looked down upon Earth. For centuries, Earth had been considered nothing more than a relic of a forgotten age, a small planet with outdated technology and a primitive military. The Alliance had witnessed the rise of powerful empires across the galaxy, each one advancing at an unimaginable pace, mastering technology that Earth's inhabitants couldn't even dream of. The civilizations that ruled the stars had left Earth behind, viewing it as a mere curiosity, a planet of no consequence. Lord Thryx, one of the highest-ranking commanders of the Galactic Alliance, was a being of immense power, both physically and intellectually. With an unshakable belief in his superiority, he had risen to the top by crushing every enemy in his path. His arrogance was legendary, and to him, Earth was no different from the countless primitive worlds he had conquered in his long career. To him, humanity's only value was as a stepping stone in the ongoing evolution of the galaxy. So, when the Galactic Summit was called to discuss the future of various star systems, Earth's diplomats were invited, not as equals, but as a form of mockery. The summit was held on the Alliance's most luxurious space station, a massive city in the sky, orbiting a star in the heart of the galaxy. It was a symbol of their technological superiority, a gleaming beacon of their dominance. When the Earth diplomats arrived, they were met with sneers and condescending remarks. The leaders of the Alliance were gathered, watching with open disdain as the humans made their way into the massive hall. Lord Thryx stood at the front, his towering figure casting a long shadow over the room. He had no intention of hiding his contempt for the humans who dared to challenge his authority. As the Earth delegates sat down, Lord Thryx stepped forward, his voice booming through the chamber, cold and calculated. Their presence here, he began, looking down at them with an almost predatory gaze, is a reminder of how far we've come. You, the people of Earth, once ruled a small, insignificant rock floating in the dark corners of the galaxy. And now, you've managed to crawl your way here, despite the crushing weight of your own irrelevance. He paused, allowing the words to hang in the air like a heavy cloud. The room fell silent, everyone's eyes on the Earth diplomats. The humans, those skilled diplomats, were unable to respond to such an insult. They had been sent with the hopes of negotiating some sort of peace or alliance, but the reality of the situation had quickly become clear. We've given you a seat at the table, Lord Thryx continued, his voice dripping with sarcasm, but do not mistake this for respect. You are here because we tolerate your presence. Earth, as you know it, has no future. Your people, your technology, are far behind the rest of us. You are relics of an old world, a dying planet with no place in this new age. You have no fleet capable of defending yourselves, no technology to speak of that can rival the wonders we possess. Your future is a fading memory, just like your once proud history. The insult was harsh, but not unexpected. It had been a long time coming. The Alliance had always treated Earth as insignificant, as if humanity's place in the galaxy was nothing more than a footnote in a much larger story. Yet, despite the stinging words, the Earth diplomats held their ground, maintaining their composure. They knew that they were far from helpless, but they couldn't reveal the truth just yet. Lord Thryx turned away from them, a slight smirk curling on his lips as he gestured to the other members of the Alliance. And as for your military, he scoffed, it's nothing more than a joke. Do you really believe your outdated ships and weapons stand a chance against our fleets? The Earth's time is over. You are nothing but a shadow of your former selves. He could feel the tension in the room, the bitter sting of his words affecting the humans more than he anticipated. But that was the point, wasn't it? He wanted to break their spirit, to show them their place in the grand scheme of things. The Earth diplomats sat quietly, their expressions unreadable, but inside, they were burning with anger. They had been trained for moments like this, but nothing could prepare them for the venom in Lord Thryx's words. They knew that this meeting was no longer about diplomacy, it had become a matter of survival. What Lord Thryx didn't know, however, was that Earth had a secret. It was something no one outside of Earth's highest echelons knew about, not even the Galactic Alliance. Hidden away, in the deepest recesses of Earth's defense program, was a weapon so powerful that it could turn the tide of the entire galaxy. This weapon was Earth's trump card, the one thing that could change the balance of power in a single, decisive strike. The Phantom Fleet, as it was called, was Earth's greatest secret. It was a cloaked fleet, designed with the latest advancements in stealth technology. It was a fleet that could hide from even the most advanced alien detection systems, capable of appearing out of nowhere and striking with devastating force. The ships were equipped with the most advanced AI and cloaking devices in the galaxy, designed to be undetectable and unstoppable. But the Phantom Fleet had never been used. It was reserved for the most extreme circumstances, situations in which the survival of humanity itself was at stake. The Earth government had always kept the fleet hidden, knowing that revealing such power would draw the attention of the galaxy's most dangerous enemies. Now, however, the time had come. The humiliation of the Earth diplomats could not go unanswered. The Galactic Alliance had pushed too far. The Alliance's arrogance had blinded them to the truth. They had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. And now, Earth was ready to reveal its secret. As the mockery continued, the Earth diplomats made their decision. They would return to their planet, but not as defeated pawns. They would go back with a message: Earth was not to be underestimated. They had a plan that would shake the galaxy to its core. As Lord Thryx stood, smirking at his supposed victory, he failed to notice the quiet, determined expressions of the Earth delegates. He did not see the glint of resolve in their eyes, nor did he hear the quiet hum of a communication signal being sent to Earth's secret command center. The Earth diplomats were already in motion, their minds focused on a single goal: to bring the Phantom Fleet into action. The time for negotiations was over. The time for Earth to prove itself had arrived. And as Lord Thryx basked in his false sense of superiority, he had no idea that the galaxy was about to witness a shift in power. Earth was no longer the weak, helpless planet it had once been. It was a force to be reckoned with. As the alien fleet approached Earth's atmosphere, there was an overwhelming sense of dread in the air. The sheer size and power of the invaders made it seem like humanity didn't stand a chance. The vast armada, consisting of hundreds of enormous ships, loomed over Earth like a gathering storm. For weeks, their approach had been monitored by Earth's military, but all efforts to warn the galaxy's other systems were falling on deaf ears. The Galactic Alliance had made it clear: humanity was not worth defending. But as the alien fleet drew closer to Earth, something incredible happened. No one, not even the highest-ranking officials of the Galactic Alliance, knew what was about to unfold. Earth's hidden fleet, a fleet of unimaginable power and technology, suddenly activated. This was the Phantom Fleet, Earth's greatest secret. A fleet that had been dormant for years, waiting for this very moment. The moment the first of the alien ships crossed into Earth's atmosphere, the Phantom Fleet made its move. Every ship in the fleet, cloaked in advanced stealth technology, came to life. Earth's ships were invisible to the alien forces, their sensors and radar completely blind to the silent fleet that had just appeared out of nowhere. The first blast hit the alien ships like a thunderclap, and the shockwaves sent ripples through the vast expanse of space. The alien fleet was caught completely off guard. They had no idea where the attack was coming from, and they were thrown into disarray. For the first time in centuries, the tables had turned. Earth, the planet they had mocked, had struck back. The aliens scrambled to organize their forces, but they were too late. Earth's Phantom Fleet moved swiftly, launching devastating strikes that left the alien ships in chaos. The first few moments of the battle were complete mayhem. The aliens, accustomed to their overwhelming superiority, were now reeling from attacks they couldn't see, let alone defend against. The Phantom Fleet's cloaking technology made it almost impossible for the alien ships to target anything. They fired blindly into the void, hoping to hit something, anything, but the stealthy fleet was always one step ahead. The Earth ships, with their AI-powered weaponry, unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, each one more powerful than the last. These weapons were unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. With each strike, entire sections of the alien ships were obliterated. The Phantom Fleet's fighters, though smaller in size, were nimble and deadly, darting in and out of the alien formation with precision. They used their advanced AI systems to predict enemy movements, making their attacks seem almost unstoppable. To the alien forces, it was a nightmare. They were being picked apart by an enemy they couldn't even see. The Earth fleet was no longer the underdog. It had become a force to be reckoned with. The so-called primitive humans, with their so-called outdated technology, were now dismantling the most advanced fleet the galaxy had ever known. The Phantom Fleet strikes were surgical, devastating, and relentless. Each attack hit like a thunderbolt, with no warning and no way to defend against it. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces grew bolder. The alien fleet's leadership was in turmoil. They had no idea how to fight back against an invisible enemy, and morale began to plummet. But the battle wasn't over yet. The real challenge lay ahead, infiltrating the flagship of the alien fleet and dealing the final blow. Commander Ava Cross, one of Earth's most skilled officers, stood at the helm of one of the Phantom Fleet's most advanced ships. Her team was tasked with a critical mission, getting past the alien flagship's defenses and striking at the heart of the enemy fleet. The flagship was heavily guarded, and its defenses were unlike anything the Earth fleet had faced before. But Commander Cross was determined. She knew that this was their best chance to strike at the heart of the alien command, and if they could destroy the flagship, it could lead to the collapse of the entire alien fleet. She and her team moved swiftly through the shadows of space, their cloaked ships drifting silently towards the flagship. The closer they got, the more intense the tension became. Every sensor was on high alert, and every move had to be calculated to perfection. One mistake, one wrong move, and the flagship's defenses would overwhelm them. Ava's heart pounded in her chest as she looked at the glowing readouts in front of her. They were almost there. But as they neared the flagship, something unexpected happened. The flagship, which had seemed to be entirely unaware of their approach, suddenly activated its own cloaking device. It was a last-ditch effort to fight back against the invisible threat. Earth's ships, for the first time, found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't see. The game had changed. The tension on board Ava's ship was palpable. She knew this was going to be difficult, but she refused to back down. "Hold steady," she ordered, her voice steady despite the uncertainty. "We've trained for this. We've come this far. Now let's finish it." The crew members worked furiously, activating their advanced AI systems to try and detect the flagship's position. The problem was, the alien flagship had a far more sophisticated cloaking system than the Earth fleet had anticipated. It was a race against time. Ava's team had only one shot at this. If they failed, the Phantom Fleet's victory would be short-lived. As the minutes ticked by, the crew grew more anxious. The flagship was still cloaked, and every second felt like an eternity. Ava's mind raced. There has to be a way to track it, she thought. Then, just as she was about to lose hope, the AI systems on her ship detected a slight disturbance in the space around them. A tiny blip appeared on the radar, a flicker of energy. "It's there!" Ava shouted. "Lock on target. Prepare to fire." With precision and speed, Ava's ship aimed its weapons at the location of the disturbance. They fired without hesitation, and the first salvo of energy blasts struck the cloaked flagship. The shields flared up, but the impact was enough to cause significant damage. The flagship's cloak flickered, briefly revealing its position. The team fired again, and this time, the shots found their mark. The flagship's shields were breached, and explosions tore through its hull. The aliens on board the flagship were in a panic. They had no idea how Earth had managed to track them. They tried to retaliate, but their counterattacks were weak, and their cloak malfunctioned under the relentless assault. Ava's team moved in for the kill, launching a final barrage of weapons that ripped through the flagship's core. The massive ship began to break apart, and the alien command was thrown into chaos. As the flagship began to disintegrate, the alien fleet realized that they had lost their command ship. It was the beginning of their collapse. The remaining alien forces scattered, trying to regroup, but it was too late. The Phantom Fleet, with its superior stealth and firepower, had struck a decisive blow. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and Earth had shown the galaxy that they were no longer a weak, insignificant world. They had become a force that no one could ignore. The battle was far from over, but Earth had taken the first step toward reclaiming its place in the galaxy. The Phantom Fleet had struck back, and the aliens were left scrambling to figure out what had just happened. Ava Cross and her team had completed their mission, and now, Earth's enemies were left with only one question on their minds: what would come next? The moment Commander Ava Cross and her team stepped aboard the massive alien flagship, the sheer scale of the ship took them by surprise. It was like nothing they had ever encountered. The corridors stretched endlessly, lined with strange glowing symbols and intricate designs that were foreign to their eyes. The air was thick with tension as their boots echoed in the silence, the only sound except for their breathing. Ava's pulse raced in anticipation. The real battle had only just begun. They had made it this far, past the alien flagship's defenses, and now they were deep inside the heart of enemy territory. Their mission was clear: sabotage the flagship's core and neutralize the command center. They had no time to waste. The ship was still in chaos after the Phantom Fleet's attacks, but Ava knew that it wouldn't stay disoriented for long. The aliens would regroup, and the fight would get even harder. Ava gave the signal to her team, and they moved swiftly through the halls, weapons raised and eyes scanning every corner for potential threats. The corridors were eerily quiet, but that only made Ava more cautious. Every step was calculated. One wrong move could set off a deadly chain of events. They reached the first junction, and just as Ava was about to give the order to move forward, a loud, mechanical screech echoed through the halls. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the walls began to hum with a low, unsettling noise. Before anyone could react, the floor beneath them shifted, revealing massive doors sliding open on either side. From the shadows emerged towering alien robots, their eyes glowing with an ominous red light. These were no ordinary machines. They were designed for combat, heavily armed with advanced weaponry and the ability to adapt quickly to enemy tactics. The team immediately went into defensive positions. "Get ready!" Ava shouted, her voice firm despite the fear rising inside her. The team raised their weapons and opened fire, but the robots were fast. They dodged and countered with precision, returning fire in quick bursts. The sound of gunfire echoed in the hall, each shot vibrating in the tense silence of the ship. Ava ducked behind a column, narrowly avoiding a blast that scorched the air just above her head. As the robots advanced, the team fought back with everything they had. Sergeant Bonner, one of Ava's most trusted soldiers, took charge of holding the rear, making sure the team didn't get surrounded. His movements were fluid and precise, each shot finding its target. But these robots weren't going down easily. They were relentless, each one more terrifying than the last, their metallic bodies nearly indestructible. The team had only one advantage: their surprise element and their speed. Ava moved like a shadow, darting from cover to cover, firing her weapon with deadly accuracy. She had trained for moments like this, and her instincts were sharp. But even she could feel the tension mounting. This wasn't just another battle. This was something worse. The aliens had thrown their best weapons at them, and they had to push through it or risk failing the entire mission. Bonner, meanwhile, was in the thick of it, his weapon firing relentlessly at the robots in his line of sight. His focus was unwavering, but there was something different about him. There was a determination in his eyes, a quiet sense of purpose. Ava noticed it, but she couldn't afford to dwell on it. Every second counted. The battle raged on, with each team member holding their ground as the robots advanced. Explosions rocked the walls, sending dust and debris flying through the air. One of the robots collapsed to the floor with a loud crash, but there were still more coming. Ava could feel the pressure mounting. The longer they fought, the more they risked being overwhelmed. Her mind raced as she searched for a way to gain the upper hand. It was then that she saw the control panel on the wall to her left. A quick glance at the readout showed her what she needed. She gestured to Lieutenant Marcus, signaling him to cover her as she sprinted toward the panel. He nodded without hesitation, laying down suppressive fire as Ava ran for the control center. She reached it in a flash, slamming her hand against the panel to deactivate the robot's defensive protocols. "Do it now." Ava barked as the rest of the team moved in to help her take down the remaining robots. With a swift press of a button, the security system shut down, and the robots froze in place, motionless. The team quickly finished off the remaining machines, securing the area and giving themselves a brief moment to breathe. But just as they began to regroup, a sudden explosion shook the ship. The lights flickered violently, and the sound of alarms blared in their ears. Ava's heart skipped a beat. Something was wrong. "Move, move, move," she shouted, as the team scrambled to their feet. They had no choice but to push forward. The explosion had triggered an alarm, and they were running out of time. As they moved deeper into the heart of the flagship, the pressure to complete their mission intensified. The team had come too far to turn back now. They reached the central command area, and just as they were about to enter, the door slammed shut with a deafening sound. Ava's pulse raced. This was it. The last obstacle. She motioned for her team to take positions as she tried to override the door's security system. But as she worked, a soft voice broke through her thoughts. "Commander. Bonner's been hit," Marcus said quietly. Ava's heart sank. She turned to see Bonner, standing a little further down the corridor, blood streaming from a wound in his side. His face was pale, but his eyes were still focused on the mission. Ava's stomach twisted. Bonner had been like a brother to her. They had fought together in countless battles, and now, to see him wounded, it was a hard blow to her resolve. She rushed to his side, but Bonner grabbed her arm before she could help him. "You need to finish this," he said, his voice weak but filled with determination. "The mission, you can't stop now, you need to take them down." Ava's heart ached. She had seen soldiers fall before, but this felt different. Bonner had always been there, a loyal and dependable soldier. His sacrifice was the last thing she wanted, but he had made his choice, and she had to respect it. "Bonner," she whispered, her voice cracking. "We'll finish this. I promise." With a final nod, Bonner fell back against the wall, his breathing shallow. Ava knew she couldn't waste any more time. The mission came first. She quickly activated the override system, and the door slid open, revealing the heart of the alien flagship. They had one final task, to destroy the core and cripple the alien fleet for good. But as Ava led the team inside, her heart was heavy with the loss of Bonner. It was a bitter reminder of the cost of war, of the sacrifices that would be made in order to secure victory. As they moved toward their goal, Ava vowed that Bonner's sacrifice would not be in vain. They would finish this fight. They would bring down the aliens, no matter what it took. The Phantom Fleet had already begun to change the course of the battle. Earth's fleet, once thought to be obsolete and insignificant, had turned the tide. Alien ships, with their towering sizes and advanced weaponry, were now being hunted like prey by the stealthy, elusive Earth fleet. Every moment of this counterattack was a testament to the power of Earth's ingenuity and determination. The once dominant alien forces, who had mocked Earth and its people, now found themselves in a desperate struggle to maintain control. The sky above Earth had become a battlefield. The cloaked ships of the Phantom Fleet weaved in and out of view, striking at the heart of the alien forces without warning. The alien commanders, still reeling from the sudden surprise, struggled to adapt. They had never encountered such technology before, nor such a relentless force. The war they had assumed they would win easily was quickly slipping from their grasp. The universe had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price. In the heart of the flagship, Commander Ava Cross was preparing for the final push. The mission was clear: disable the alien fleet once and for all. As she and her team advanced through the ship's corridors, the walls reverberated with the sounds of battle above. Every moment felt like it could be their last, but Ava's resolve was unshakable. She had lost soldiers, faced impossible odds, but now, at this critical moment, she knew that the future of humanity was within reach. Ava and her team reached the core of the flagship, where the alien AI systems controlled the ship's movements, communications, and defenses. This was it, the heart of the enemy's power. If they could disable it, the alien fleet would be left vulnerable, its commanders powerless to direct their forces. Ava could feel the weight of the responsibility on her shoulders. She had to succeed, not just for the victory, but for the lives of every soldier who had fallen, for every person who had suffered under the alien occupation. "Marcus, cover me," Ava ordered as she approached the control panel. The alien defenses were still active, but there was no turning back now. She had come too far. Her fingers flew over the console, quickly navigating the complex alien interface. The technology was unlike anything Earth had ever seen, but Ava had spent countless hours studying the data, learning to decipher their systems. This was humanity's chance to show the aliens that their superiority was nothing more than an illusion. Marcus and the rest of the team kept watch as Ava worked. The tension in the air was palpable. The sound of distant explosions, the humming of the alien technology, and the rapid fire of weapons all blended into a chaotic symphony. Ava's heart pounded in her chest as the seconds stretched on like hours. She knew that the alien leaders would soon realize what was happening. They wouldn't go down without a fight. But Ava was ready for them. She had always been ready. With a final, decisive command, Ava initiated the hack. The alien AI systems, once the pinnacle of technological achievement, began to glitch. Lights flickered, screens scrambled, and the once imposing fleet suddenly faltered. Ava's plan was working. She had gained control. The alien fleet, the so-called masters of the galaxy, were now at the mercy of humanity's technology. Above them, the battle raged on. The alien ships, now disoriented and vulnerable, were being picked off one by Earth's stealthy fleet. The Phantom Fleet, cloaked in the darkness of space, struck with deadly precision. It was like watching a predator toying with its prey. Each strike was more devastating than the last. Orbital bombardment rained down on the alien ships, tearing apart their once impenetrable armor. The visual effects of the battle were stunning. Explosions of bright energy, the violent flash of plasma cannons, and the eerie glow of cloaked ships as they disappeared into the vastness of space before reappearing for another strike. The alien commanders, now realizing the full extent of their failure, scrambled to regain control. Their arrogance had clouded their judgment, and now it was too late. Earth's technology had outsmarted them at every turn. They had underestimated humanity's will to fight. They had believed their advanced weaponry and AI were invincible, but they were wrong. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't just its technology, it was its spirit. Ava watched the screens as the final sequence was initiated. The flagship's core, once the heart of the alien fleet, was now under her control. With a swift movement, she triggered the final command. The alien fleet's communications were severed, and the ships, no longer able to coordinate, began to fall apart. The once unified force was now in chaos, their ships drifting aimlessly through space, easy targets for Earth's Phantom Fleet. "Mission complete," Ava muttered under her breath, though she knew this was just the beginning. The battle wasn't over yet. The alien commanders would never surrender easily. But Ava had done what no one had thought possible. She had brought Earth's power to the galaxy's doorstep. As the alien ships began to crumble under the relentless assault of the Phantom Fleet, the leaders of the alien forces finally understood the true cost of underestimating humanity. They had thought Earth was a weak, primitive world, unworthy of notice. But now they saw the truth: Earth was not just a planet, they were a force to be reckoned with. Commander Ava Cross, standing in the heart of the flagship, watched the destruction unfold around her. The once untouchable alien fleet was now a shattered remnant of its former glory. The battle had been brutal, but it was almost over. Ava allowed herself a brief moment of relief, knowing that the mission had succeeded, but she also knew that this was a victory that came at a great cost. As the final alien ships were destroyed, Ava felt a sense of finality wash over her. They had done it. Earth had won, not because of superior technology, but because of the strength, unity, and resilience of its people. The alien forces, once so certain of their victory, had been shattered by the very people they had thought insignificant. The Phantom Fleet had shown them that humanity would not be crushed. It would rise, no matter the odds. In the end, it was humanity's heart, not its machines, that had made the difference. Ava knew this would go down in history as the moment Earth proved its place in the galaxy. The alien leaders would never forget the lesson they had learned today: never underestimate the strength of a planet that fights for its survival. As Lord Thryx stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the destruction around him, a sinking feeling of defeat began to settle in. His once mighty fleet, a symbol of dominance across galaxies, was being dismantled piece by the Earth's Phantom Fleet. The alien forces, which had thought themselves invincible, were now scattered and broken. Thryx could hardly comprehend the scale of the disaster unfolding before his eyes. He had led this invasion with confidence, believing that Earth, with its primitive technology and unrefined military, would be an easy target. But now, it was clear. The Earth forces had done the unthinkable, they had turned the tide of battle, and there was nothing Thryx could do to stop it. His ships were being torn apart by invisible, stealthy attacks, and his elite commanders were being picked off one by one. The Phantom Fleet was everywhere, striking with precision and fury, leaving nothing but ruin in its wake. The once untouchable alien fleet had been reduced to a handful of scattered ships, each trying to flee or regroup. But there was one final battle to be fought, one final confrontation that would determine the fate of not just his fleet, but his entire species. The war was not over yet, and Lord Thryx knew that, despite the overwhelming odds, he still had to face the one person who had orchestrated his downfall, Commander Ava Cross. Ava Cross, the woman who had shattered the image of superiority his empire had held for so long. She had proven herself to be a master strategist, someone who had anticipated every move the aliens made and turned it against them. Her leadership had inspired her soldiers to fight beyond what they thought possible, and it was clear that Earth's technology, though still primitive by alien standards, was more than a match for his forces. In the end, it wasn't just the ships or weapons, it was the human will to survive that had brought them to this moment. But Thryx was not one to surrender easily. As he stood in his command center, his mind raced, weighing his options. He could order a retreat, but that would mean abandoning everything he had worked for, and it would be seen as a humiliating defeat. No, there had to be a way to turn the tide. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that the Earth forces were simply too strong. His fleet, once a symbol of power, was now reduced to a broken remnant of its former glory. Suddenly, an alert sounded from the control console. Ava Cross and her team had infiltrated his flagship, and they were making their way to the heart of his command center. Thryx's heart sank. He had anticipated this moment, but now that it was here, the reality of facing Ava Cross was something he wasn't prepared for. Ava and her team stormed into the command center, weapons drawn, eyes locked on Lord Thryx. The tension in the air was thick. Ava's expression was cold, determined, but there was something else there, a fire that had been burning in her since the beginning of this war. She had seen her soldiers fall. She had watched as Earth's cities were destroyed, as the alien forces pressed forward with no mercy. But now, she stood at the threshold of victory. Lord Thryx, Ava's voice rang out, cutting through the silence of the command center. This ends now. Thryx's eyes narrowed as he turned to face her. He could see the resolve in her eyes, the same resolve that had led her to this point. He had underestimated her before, but not anymore. He would not go down without a fight. He would show her the full extent of his power. You think you have won? Thryx's voice was low, filled with disdain. You have no idea what you're up against. Earth is a speck in the vastness of the universe, and I am its ruler. You may have outwitted me, but this is not over. I still have the power to destroy your planet. Ava didn't flinch. She had heard these threats before. In fact, she had heard them from countless alien commanders, all of them believing their superiority would ensure victory. But now, Earth had proven that it wasn't just a planet to be crushed, it was a force to be reckoned with. Ava took a step forward, her gaze unwavering. You had your chance, Thryx, Ava said, her voice steady. You thought you could conquer us, break us. But you were wrong. Earth is stronger than you think. We don't need your technology or your arrogance. We have something you'll never understand, a reason to fight. A reason to protect our home. Thryx's face twisted with anger. He was used to being in control, used to being feared. But now, here he stood, facing a human who had shattered everything he thought he knew. It was clear to him now, Earth's military, its technology, its spirit, had far surpassed anything his empire could offer. He had been blind to that strength, blinded by his own arrogance. You have no idea what you're dealing with, Thryx spat. I have crushed entire civilizations. I have destroyed worlds. You think you can defeat me? I am invincible. Ava stepped closer, her teen covering her as she moved forward. She didn't say a word. Instead, she activated a small device in her hand. It was a signal jammer, one of Earth's most advanced pieces of technology. The alien AI systems, which had been the backbone of their command structure, began to glitch, falter, and fail. The once omnipotent systems were now nothing more than a chaotic mess of scrambled code. Thryx's eyes widened in shock. His empire, the technological marvels he had relied on, were being rendered useless in front of him. His control, once absolute, was slipping away. His arrogance had been his downfall. No, Thryx's voice was barely a whisper, his confidence fading. How could this happen? Ava looked at him, and for the first time, she saw the truth of his arrogance. It wasn't just his technology that had failed him, it was his inability to understand the power of humanity. The power of unity, of belief, and of will. While he had relied on machines, Earth had relied on something far greater. Its people. You were never invincible, Thryx, Ava said, her voice filled with finality. You just believed you were. With one final movement, Ava triggered the last command, shutting down the alien flagship's core systems. The ship's engines sputtered and died. The massive, imposing vessel now floated helplessly in space. Thryx, once a symbol of power and control, stood defeated, his empire crumbling before him. You have won, Thryx murmured, his voice filled with a mixture of disbelief and bitterness. But remember this is not the end. There are more out there. More who will come for you. Ava's eyes narrowed, but she knew what he said was true. The war with the aliens might be over, but the battle for Earth's future was just beginning. She had no illusions about what was ahead. But for now, she had won. Humanity had won. I'll remember, Thryx, Ava said quietly. But for now, you're finished. With that, she turned and left the room, leaving Thryx to face the consequences of his arrogance and underestimation. The final confrontation was over, and Earth had emerged victorious. The battle was over, but the war was just beginning. The once mighty alien forces, the invaders who had threatened to conquer Earth and its people, were now nothing more than a broken memory. The Phantom Fleet, Earth's secret weapon, had dealt a crushing blow to the Galactic Alliance, and now the universe was forced to recognize the strength of humanity. The tide had turned in Earth's favor, and it was time for the galaxy to take notice. Commander Ava Cross stood on the balcony of Earth's command center, her gaze fixed on the horizon. It had been days since the final confrontation with Lord Thryx, and yet the events felt as fresh as ever in her mind. She could still hear the explosions, feel the adrenaline of the battle, and taste the triumph of victory. But now, the aftermath of their actions had begun to settle in. The galaxy, once so confident in its superiority, was now forced to reckon with the reality of Earth's power. The Galactic Alliance, a group of highly advanced civilizations that had once viewed Earth as insignificant, was now realizing how wrong they had been. Earth, a planet they had once dismissed as primitive and helpless, had proven itself to be far more than they had ever imagined. The victory was not just a military one, it was a statement. Earth had shown that its will to survive, its ingenuity, and its relentless pursuit of justice were forces that no alien empire could ever hope to match. Ava's team, the brave men and women who had fought beside her, were being hailed as heroes across the galaxy. News of their victory spread like wildfire, reaching the farthest corners of space. Holovids were created, stories were told, and songs were sung in honor of Earth's defenders. Ava and her crew had become symbols of hope, not just for Earth, but for all the species who had suffered under the oppressive rule of the Galactic Alliance. But Ava was not one for accolades. As she stood there, watching the stars twinkle above her, she couldn't help but think about the cost of their victory. Thousands of lives had been lost, soldiers, civilians, heroes who had given everything for the survival of their home. The battle had been won, but the scars of war were still fresh, and the journey ahead was far from over. Ava's mind returned to Bonner, the soldier who had fallen during the battle. His sacrifice had weighed heavily on her, and even though the war was over, the emotional toll of leadership still hung over her like a dark cloud. Bonner had been more than just a soldier, he had been a friend, a comrade, someone who had believed in the mission and the cause. His death had been a painful reminder that even in victory, there was loss. But Ava knew that Bonner's spirit lived on in the strength of Earth's people. His bravery had inspired them to push forward, to fight against the odds, and to never give up. As the days passed, Earth's government began to take stock of the situation. The Galactic Alliance, which had once seen Earth as a small, insignificant planet, was now reaching out for diplomatic talks. Their once arrogant leaders, who had looked down on humanity, were now extending offers of peace and alliance. They had no choice. Earth had proven itself to be a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy could no longer afford to ignore its power. Commander Ava Cross was called to a summit, a meeting with representatives from the Galactic Alliance to discuss the future of Earth. It was a monumental moment, one that would shape the course of history. As Ava walked into the grand hall, she was met with a sea of alien faces, some stern, others curious, and a few even fearful. The room was filled with the leaders of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy, and for the first time, Earth had a seat at the table. As Ava took her place at the front of the room, she couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. This was more than just a diplomatic meeting, it was Earth's moment to prove its worth. She had fought for her people, and now she would fight for their future. She had been the one to lead them to victory, and now she would be the one to ensure that their legacy was secured. The leaders of the Galactic Alliance spoke first, acknowledging Earth's victory and offering their congratulations. But Ava knew that their words were more than just empty pleasantries. They were acknowledging Earth's power, its place in the galaxy, and the fact that they no longer had the luxury of treating humanity as an afterthought. It is clear, one of the alien representatives said, that Earth has demonstrated a strength we never thought possible. Your people have proven themselves to be a force in this galaxy, and we now recognize that your species has a right to stand among us, not as inferiors, but as equals." Ava nodded, but she knew that the road ahead would not be easy. The Galactic Alliance was not made up of saints. It was a political body, full of self-interest and hidden agendas. But Ava also knew that this was an opportunity, a chance to forge new alliances, to rebuild a galaxy that had been torn apart by war. The peace talks would be long, difficult, and filled with tension. But it was a chance for Earth to reshape its future, to ensure that the mistakes of the past would never be repeated. As the meeting continued, Ava's mind drifted back to Earth. It had been the birthplace of humanity's greatest achievements, and now it was becoming the beacon of hope for the entire galaxy. With Earth's newfound power, its people were no longer just defending themselves, they were becoming the protectors of peace. The Phantom Fleet, Earth's secret weapon, was not just a military force, it was a symbol of the resolve and resilience of the human spirit. Ava thought about the future. What would Earth look like in the coming years? How would humanity navigate the complexities of galactic diplomacy and the challenges of dealing with civilizations far more advanced than their own? The road ahead was uncertain, but Ava was confident in one thing: humanity had earned its place in the stars. As the summit concluded and the representatives began to leave, Ava remained behind for a moment, reflecting on everything they had accomplished. The galaxy had been changed forever, and Earth had become a key player in the ongoing struggle for peace and stability. But for Ava, it was more than just a political victory. It was a personal victory, a testament to everything she had fought for, everything she had lost, and everything she had gained. In the days that followed, Earth began to rebuild. The scars of war were still there, but the people of Earth were stronger than ever. The knowledge that they had survived and emerged victorious gave them a new sense of purpose. Earth's technology, once primitive by galactic standards, was now a symbol of innovation and potential. The scientists and engineers who had helped develop the Phantom Fleet were now working to advance Earth's capabilities, ensuring that the planet would never again be caught off guard. Humanity had entered a new era. They were no longer the underdogs, struggling to survive in a galaxy dominated by powerful alien empires. Earth had proven that its people, its spirit, and its determination were forces that could change the course of history. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for far too long, and now it was time for Earth to take its rightful place among the stars. As Ava Cross looked up at the stars once more, she felt a sense of pride, not just for her own achievements, but for the future of Earth. The galaxy would no longer see them as weak. Humanity had shown its true strength. The universe had been changed, and Earth's place in it was now secure. This was just the beginning. A new chapter for Earth, and for humanity, had begun.